republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Cotterman.
Here.
Mr. Mosier.
Here.
Miss Amy Walker.
Here.
Mr. Wigton.
Here.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to add under President's Business N, an executive session D. Go into executive.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4. I need a motion and a second for the approval of the previous board meeting minutes. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Second.
Mary got it.
Mm-hmm.
Discussion. Okay, roll call.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4. And completion of certificate.
Yeah, I'd like to take this time to recognize Mr. Steve Christ. We're happy to welcome Jenny and Steve's daughter, Alyssa. I don't see Ronnie back there. Steve's son, yeah, he wasn't able to make it tonight, and some other family and friends. Welcome. As many of you know, Steve passed away in June after a very brief illness. Affectionately known as Tuna, Steve served as the operations supervisor at Madison for the past 17 years, working diligently with his staff to keep our facilities and grounds looking sharp, and also playing an integral role in the planning and building of the new middle school in which we are here today. On the athletic side, Steve also served as a head girls soccer coach here at Madison for 8 years. Steve was not only a great employee and administrator, but he was a great person who represented Madison schools proudly and with great character. In addition to his work, Steve will always be remembered for announcing his presence by whistling one of his favorite tunes as he entered a hallway or an office. I always knew when Steve was in the building, especially around Christmas time. Steve has been and will continue to be sorely missed here at Madison, but he will not be forgotten. Jenny and Alyssa, we wish you comfort in the days and years ahead. If you would please come forward at this time and accept this Madison blanket as a small token of our appreciation for Steve's dedication to Madison local schools. Please come forward.
At this time, we'll recognize any visitors who are here to address the board regarding anything on the agenda tonight. Okay, we'll move on to administrative committee reports, legislative. No report. Athletic board of controls,
Haven't met.
student representative.
All right. Hello, my name is Elise. I am this year's Student Council President. I am a senior this year, and I am having the honor to be part of the 100th class of Madison. To start out, I just want to talk about some sports that are going on. The volleyball team has started their season, and they play Thursday at West Holmes. The girls' soccer, which I am a part of, we've had 3 wins this season. And we had a really good battle for our first game against Clear Fork. And we play tomorrow at Olentangy, Berlin, and hopefully bring home that victory. The boys' soccer has gone 3-0, so they are winning their season so far. And they play Ontario Thursday and hope to get a win for us. The girls' tennis team has had a lot of new faces this year, and as I've heard, they are having a great season so far. They've won some matches, and they have the Madison Invite this Saturday. The football team, as everyone knows, the alumni game is Friday. They're really excited for that, and as I practice on the soccer fields, I see them getting ready for their game. They are so ready, and they are pumped up for that. They play River Valley for that game, and as we will celebrate the 100 years of Madison. Cross Country has had a successful home meet a couple weeks ago. They run at Colonel Crawford. They ran at Colonel Crawford, and they run at Ashland this weekend, and hopefully we have a couple finishers for that. For the band, they are so excited to play with the alumni band during the alumni game. And for the school events, open house went well. School is off to a great start. We have, all the seniors are so excited to be a part of the 100 Years of Madison, and today we found out homecoming royalty. So we found out the lineup for that. We had, for student council as well, we had gene painting for the seniors. We had about 30 people in attendance for that. All of those turned out so cute. And then for homecoming, the theme is Galaxy, or Out of This World. We're going to have a whole bunch of stars and stuff that student council is starting to prepare. And then Common Grounds, or in the Ramble Inn, will be open during the lunches and during Memory Lane on Friday before the alumni game. So we're off to a great start this year, and I can't wait to see where we go this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, facilities?
Good evening. I'm John Neron, new facilities or operations supervisor. As of today, all parking lot projects have been completed. High school and adult ed side of the building and the back S turns. Roofing projects, high school and Mifflin, have all been completed. Complete track resurfacing, bleacher leveling and painting was just finished up in early August. All playgrounds have been freshly mulched and applied. Projects finished at the beginning of August. High school outdoor freezer has been refurbished and back in operation after sitting idle for a few years. The high school outside cooler has also been converted to a freezer. The high school inside cooler has been converted to a freezer, from a freezer refrigerator combo. It is now just a dedicated cooler. This is now up and running as of last week. South Elementary locker room, south wing, has been renovated and repurposed as a cross-categorical classroom. This work was finished as of last week, 2 days before school starts. Boiler room at the Early Childhood Learning Center. This has been ordered and it's in the works. This project has been a projected wrap-up date of the end of October. It is a lead time of about 8 weeks out and on the order, and the install time of about a week, week and a half. So we're looking at end of October for a finish date for that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Board policy?
No report.
Okay. For student achievement, several buildings emailed in and said they were just happy to be back and off to a strong start. Mifflin stated that they're off to a strong start to the school year by going over behavior expectations that align to PBIS initiatives and diving headfirst into instruction. Students have already demonstrated success by having an attendance rate of 100% on the second day of school and will soon be taking beginning of the year diagnostic assessments to set a benchmark on current levels of readiness and to identify individual strengths and needs. For the middle school, they've made it through the first week of school and have a lot of new things for the school year. There's a care closet at the middle school for any students in need of clothing, basic hygiene items, book bags, and school supplies. Thank you to the generous donations of the community and staff. They have created an Attend to Win incentive that works to lower our absenteeism at the middle school. There are competitions between homerooms and grade levels, and there are a lot of fun prizes for those who win and attend school daily. And they are also completing their iReady diagnostic next week and looking forward to ways of growing our kids. At the high school, we have achievement scores from the spring end of course exams. So ELA scores 74% proficient, improved 11 percentage points from 2023, and scored 17 points above the state average. The building improved its Algebra 1 score by 9 points, and the district percentage was 3 percentage points above the state average. Biology scores improved by 1% from 2023. They improved the American history score 75% proficient by 2 percentage points, 9 percentage points above the state average. American government exams scored 8 percentage points above the state average. An area of needed growth is the geometry exam. We will concentrate our efforts on making the necessary changes to our instructional practices to put these students in the best position to be successful on the test. And with the Career Center, with the winding down of the 23-24 school year and starting up the new school year, there's not much to report since the last board meeting. However, there has been 100% recent certification testing passage rates. 3 of 3 passed the Registered Medical Assistant certification, 7 of 7 passed the NCCER certifications, and AWS welding certification. Enrollments for the 24-25 school year are looking good, and they started the STNA and phlebotomy class both at capacity. And superintendent's update?
Mr. Neron was already up here, but just like to welcome him aboard. It's great to have somebody with his expertise be able to take over that operations supervisor position, and he's been very responsive to a nagging superintendent so far. So that's great for me. I don't know how he would respond to that, but he's been very helpful. We are off to a great school year. As I go around the buildings, I'm hearing a lot of positive things from the administrators as well as the teachers. We are in the process as an administrative team and working with our building leadership in creating goals for our report card for this year, as well as for our testing results that go along with that. So when we get the final results of our report card from last year, we're going to look at some goal setting and how we're going to accomplish those goals in the next month or so. Looking forward to Friday night's alumni night football game, as our student rep said, as we continue to celebrate 100th year of Madison. Many activities planned for that night, and I just want to thank all the people that have put a lot of time into preparing for that. Many of our administrators here have gotten involved in that. Missy kind of has headed up the Friday night, alumni night piece of our 100-year events, and so just like to thank everybody. All of our administrators, or nearly all of them, will be there Friday night to help monitor and do different things in some capacity, so I'm appreciative of their support in doing so. There'll be Memory Lane. We'll start at 4 o'clock in the high school cafeteria. We'll have all kinds of old yearbooks out and available for people to come in and look at. That's from 4 to 6. And then the other activities, we have food trucks coming to during the game, in addition to our concessions, and then alumni football players, band, and cheerleaders all will be participating in some form. And rumor has it that there are at least some alumni cheerleaders out there who have been practicing off-site. I will not mention any names, but that has been brought to my attention. And then lastly, Mr. McVicker had a good suggestion that at each board meeting this year that I bring an item, a board item from a past board meeting over the history of the district, and also maybe a fun fact. So I did take him up on that, and so I have a couple things to share historically, and I'll use a 70s theme tonight. The first is from our yearbook from the 74-75 school year, which was the 50th anniversary of Madison, and I'll just share a little blurb from the yearbook page where the yearbook staff shared this. 50 Years of Madison was the theme chosen for the 75 Madisonian. An endless search began through past yearbooks dating back to 1925. Fated graduates were contacted for the use of early yearbooks. Memorable events and pictures were gathered to contribute to the celebration of the golden issue. And as I looked through that yearbook, there were a lot of pictures in it from previous yearbooks. So thought that was interesting. And then since we are in August, I went back and looked at the August 31st, 1972 special board meeting. And I think you recall that was when the district was in the process of trying to secure funding to add on to the high school and build the vocational wing. And so here was just a couple blurbs from that board meeting in 1972. The Madison Board of Education met in special session for this is actually the minutes from the meeting. The Madison Board of Education met in special session for the purpose of adopting a resolution on vocational school levy and to conduct other business. And then further in a resolution, and I won't read the whole resolution, I'll just read a brief part of it. Resolved by the Board of Education of the Madison Local School District, Richland County, Ohio, 2/3 of all members elected thereto concurring that it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the benefit of the Madison Local School District for the purpose of current expenses of a proposed vocational school for the Madison Local School District at a rate not exceeding 1 mil for each $1 evaluation, which amounts to 10 cents for each $100 evaluation for a continuing period of time, which levy is in an increase of 1 mil. So I found that interesting as I went into the safe to find the old board minutes, and they had them all in books together. And so we'll do something like that every month. I'll share an old board agenda or board minute item as we move forward. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, presentations?
See up there? Here it is. Okay, hello. And I just want to say, last night, I guess there was a former cheerleader there last night, 91 years old, for practice? Yes. Graduated in 1956?
Yeah, homecoming queen in 1951.
Okay, yeah. So maybe I was off. But isn't that cool? Anyways, okay. So I am going to start with just recapping last year and how we ended up. And in our career development, career training programs, we held our graduation on June 14th. Most of you were there, and I appreciate that so very much, that all of you were there. We had several members there, too, from outside of Madison, special guests, and it was just really cool. But we had 133 total graduates. 42 of them also earned their adult high school diploma. And just underneath there, I listed some stats. We had an 83% completion rate, an 87% retention rate. And then the bottom three, the credentialing, the positive post program, and the employed related, those are based on our 23 graduates, because obviously we just finished, and so we're still following up and reporting on our 24 graduates. But we're very pleased with our stats there. And I do want to mention the 87% retention rate and the completion rate. I have a list here of 22 different services that our student advocate provided for our students. The top 4 was behavioral health services, transportation, utility assistance, and Medicaid awards, and then 18 more. And those services are so critical to our students completing the training program. They just have so much on their plate when they come to us, and what they're handling outside of here is just, it'll blow your mind in some situations, but very pleased with that. Our workforce and personal interest courses, those are our short-term classes that we offer during the night, or during the evening. You can see the numbers across the bottom there. They slowed down quite a bit this past year. We're not sure why, but we are working on that, and I'll share what we're doing a little bit further along in the presentation. But we still offered 65 courses. We ran 15 of them and provided training for 67 individuals. Our adult diploma program, this was our largest year since we've started with 42 graduates, 10 more than last year. Our performance, 42 of 45 completed with a 93% completion rate. And we have now 8 approved adult diploma programs. Our new one that we're bringing on board this year is called Construction and Welding Fundamentals. Students completing that program can earn certification in the NCCER Core and MIG welding. We're hoping that that's going to be a feeder then into our industrial electrical maintenance program. So we're excited about that. Last year, our employer and community agency services, we worked with J Industries, Gorman Rupp, and MK Metals in providing the different trainings there that are listed. And then we also continued our contract with the Community Health Access Project and providing community health worker services. These services that I listed here, we have a certified community health worker on staff. She is our student advocate. So that's why she's able to access all these services. Okay, and then moving into the next year, just like everyone else, super excited about celebrating the 100th year of Madison and the 50th year for Career Tech Education and the adult education program. So we're looking forward to participating in all the activities and events that's going to be happening throughout the year. Our career development programs for the 24-25 school year are ramping up. We're enrolling. We did, Melissa already mentioned that the STNA phlebotomy programs did start at capacity, but we're near capacity right now. We've lost 1 or 2 in each one, but still great enrollment, and the interest in our upcoming start dates for other programs are looking really good too, so we're excited. And then our local programming partnerships. We are still going to partner with Mansfield City Schools Aspire program. They hold GED classes at Madison on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, and that's to better serve our community in Madison. And then we also work with them in our adult diploma program called COST. It's Customer and Office Support Technologies. And we offer that class at Madison a couple times a year, but we also take it to Mansfield City Schools and offer it there. And then last year, we also took it to Crawford County and offered it in Bucyrus. And we plan to do that again this next year too, so that's going very well. In Bucyrus, 7 students enrolled, and all 7 successfully completed and earned their diploma. We're going to continue our partnership with Richland County John Family Services. I have a staff member that works there every week, helping maintain and serve in the resource center as individuals come in for services. And then just happened in the last few days, working with the Associated Builders and Contractors out of Columbus, and they run an electrical apprenticeship program, and we're going to be bringing that to Madison and hosting it here so that we can better serve the electrical contractors and companies here for individuals that they need to go through that training. So we're super excited about that. We did have that here at Madison about 10, 12 years ago, and they left us, went to Pioneer. They're coming back. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then workforce personal interest courses. I mentioned that we were slower, a little bit slower this year. So Dallas is our evening administrative assistant. She works very closely with these courses. She is really working hard in developing new courses for this next school year. I don't know if you've seen on our Madison.Career Center Facebook page, as well as the Mifflin Madison Township. She's been posting information out there. We're getting a lot of people calling, CEOs from local banks wanting to run finance courses, all kinds of classes. So we're hoping to bring some new classes this next school year and get that ramped up again. And then our current customized training activity that the Gorman Rupp, we're doing the A-Track machining training. Back on that first slide, I had 8 career development programs. We actually have 9. We ran 8. We couldn't run machining because of low enrollment. Well, Gorman Rupp happened to call Josh Stone, and they wanted to get their A-Track machining training program started back up for their employees. And because my instructor wasn't teaching, he was able to take on that project. So it's a 225-hour project, runs almost the whole school year. And there's 4 individuals that they're running through that. And then once that finishes, it'll start again, and it's going to be an ongoing training project with Gorman-Rupp. So we are super excited about having that. J Industries, the welding quality and safety training is a monthly 2-hour course that we run for their employees, and then we run a GMAW training program 20 hours quarterly for their employees. That's going to continue as well. And then we just recently had 2 new training requests from Mansfield Graphics and J Industries. And you can see the topics that they both requested. One is at a much more in-depth level than the other, but we are currently, my instructor is working on developing the curriculum right now and getting that going. So we're excited, and I mean, project requests are increasing, and it's going to continue to increase. So many employers, and I've said this before, are just hiring individuals without the skills. Once they're in there, then they need to get them the skills. So we're doing a lot more customized training. This slide is super exciting to me. Last year, we were able to secure $506,000 in grants and scholarships. And I've listed below scholarship grants. We had the Work Ready Grant, Talent Ready Grant, both through the Ohio Department of Higher Education, and then the Ada Ford Foundation Grant, which we have had for several years. But that provided $199,000 and a little over $199,000 for scholarships for our students, which has been extremely helpful. And then our Students in Crisis grants, that's through the Ada Ford Foundation. That's to help individuals with some of these services. If they need taxi or anything like that, we can provide that. And then through the Goodwill Agency Transportation Assistance Program, I applied for a grant for some fuel cards. So if an individual's just having difficulty coming up with money for gas to get to school or get to their externship site, we can provide fuel cards. And then the CTX, which is Center for Training Excellence, which Madison Career Center is a Center for Training Excellence. We were awarded an additional $102,778.40 last year on top of the $50,000 that we get because of the services that we provide. So we were super excited about that one. And then the Super Rapids Ohio Department of Higher Education Training Equipment Grant, that was brand new to us, brand new to all the Ohio Technical Centers in Ohio. That money is always only available to community colleges and universities. And this year, the legislation opened it up to the Ohio Technical Centers. And we jumped on board with that. But that was very interesting because the grants were divided up by regions. We got thrown in the central region with the Ohio State University. So we got to have negotiation, phone calls, meetings, not so friendly, not so fun conversations because they didn't want to give up that money. That meant that they had to share some with us. But we got $200,000, and we were able to put over $98,000 in new welding technology equipment in the welding lab for both high school and adult students to use, and over $101,000 in machining equipment. This next slide will show you some pictures of what we were able to purchase, but 3 multi-process welders, a welding work layout table, an iron worker, and a CNC plasma cutting machine for welding, and then 2 engine lathes and 3 milling machines for machining. So super excited about that. All that equipment is in place in the labs and ready to be worked on. And then I threw this slide in there because we just did this week. We are going to venture into billboard advertising. I'm super excited. So there's what they're going to look like. So watch for them. And this campaign is going to run from September through September of 2025. So we hope that that brings people our way too. I think that's it. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I need a motion and a second for approval of donations.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Wickton, or, I'm sorry, Mr. Mosher.
I am a little taller.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Mosher.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Wickton.
4.
Miss Amy Walker. 4. Miss Melissa Walker.
4. I need a motion for treasurer's business. And
So moved.
a second.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, in July, expenses exceeded revenues, but that's pretty common when you don't receive any real estate reimbursement, so that wasn't anything catastrophic that I wasn't expecting. The increase in revenues, when I put that little blurb in to explain it, I'm not sure if you guys know what catastrophic or threshold costs is. What happens is the state sets a dollar amount for special needs students, and if you exceed that dollar amount, you're allowed to turn in all those expenditures to the state, saying here's how much we spent to educate student A, B, C, or D. And then the state has the pot of money, and they say, okay, well, we'll divide it up and pay 30% of that, and we'll reimburse you 30% of those costs. Well, they did reimburse us at like 30-some%, and then after everybody got things turned in, the state had a little bit more money, and they came back and said, oh, well, we can now reimburse you at 40-some%. So we got an extra little bump, which we don't typically get in July. So that's why there was an increase in revenues. It's not something that I would count on. It was just a luck of the draw. And that's where the increase in revenues came in. The increase in expenditures this time around, if you guys recall, last year we were on that plan from the ODE because our cash reserves were so low and our fiscal year-end balance was so low. It was because it was before we passed the November levy. Because of that, last summer we put a lot of the projects like what Mr. Neron was talking about with the bleachers. We just did the minimal last year just to get by. This year we were able to do what was actually needed. Parking lots, we had to let that go, so we had to do a catch-up this year. So some of the increases in expenditures were catch-up from what we had to let go last year because we just didn't have the money. So, and I just changed this around just a little bit just because it really doesn't do much good to put in where we are in the 5-year forecast in July when school hasn't started yet. It's 1 month into 12, and at that time we didn't even have any negotiations settled, so we're good here. Are there any questions on this? The next thing was, it's a pretty long resolution. It says adopting a 403B plan document. That is nothing at all to do with general fund money. It's not the school's money. It's not taxpayer dollars. What happens is, because our office is the Human Resources Department, when any employee wants to contribute to a 403B plan, we have to have plan documents because we have to be in line with the Securities and Exchange Commission and do everything properly. The approved vendor list for all those for all the providers, it's from 2009, and I have not been able to really find a good plan document. So this will allow me to utilize a company that everybody in this district's familiar with called American Fidelity, and use them as a third-party administrator to update the plan documents, and then in turn it'll give all the employees a person that they know, a company that they know and are familiar with, to do the things they need to do. For example, like now, if an employee wants to take a loan out on their 403B, they have to jump through all kinds of hoops with this company called Plan with Ease that I have no idea when it was brought in, but it's just basically a tool that nobody knows who it is. It's cumbersome. It's just not good. By doing this, implementing American Fidelity, when somebody calls me and says, hey, I want to change my contribution to my IRA, okay, you can call Joe Off, American Fidelity. I can give them a number that they are familiar with because that representative comes to the school a couple times a year and they see them. Nobody knows who Plan with These is. It's just a tool that Voya has. So that's why that is on there. Are there any questions on any of the treasurer's business? Okay, Mr. Wigton.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4. I need a motion for matters related to personnel.
I'll move.
And a second?
Second.
Who
Discussion?
seconded?
Okay. Roll call?
Miss Amy Walker?
Four.
Mr. Wigton?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4. I need a motion for item L, superintendent's business.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion.
All of these are pretty standard annual items. I'll just call your attention to item number 2, and I'm probably aware of this. That was a grant that we secured for last year to support our art program at the high school, and we were able to get it again for this year. So that's what that is.
Okay,
That's all.
okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4. At this time, the board would recognize any visitors that would like to address us.
I'm Bob Miller, and last week, when I was driving down the road at Gray Street, I'm concerned about the school footpaths. They have signs down through there, but there's no lines, and the kids are all getting out of school and walking home. They're not aware of what side to be walking on because there's no lines down through the road. And when I was down to Gray Street, down by Gordon Road, there's a kid almost got hit. He had to jump off into the grass to avoid from getting hit from a person. Well, I did some calling around. I talked to Jim Baker, and I talked to the trustee. And Jim Baker said that I should come to this meeting because should be a line down through the road where the school footpath goes. And he told me to call Dan Fletcher. Well, Dan Fletcher's remark was, I can't teach stupidity. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. This is our kids' safety you're talking about. So I turned around up there by the car wash, and I videotaped, and there was a vehicle that's driving where the school footpath is. Well, he's saying our kids are ignorant. They don't know what side. We got innocent or ignorant drivers, and they're driving on the school footpath. So I told him it's just a matter of time that somebody's going to get hurt or killed. And, I mean, we're for our taxes for the kids. Let's do safety for the kids. I mean, we need to bring something. Because I went up on McElroy by Sherman Transmission, and kids are walking on the wrong side of the road. And you got 5, 6 kids that probably live up by the trailer court. You know, I don't know exactly where the kids do live, but I got videos where 2 kids are coming down the wrong side of the road on Gray Street, and there's a car that is going around. I videotaped it all. I mean, I have it on my phone to show anybody if they want to see it. So I just thought, you know, I'm a concerned, person for the kids. And I got kids, I'm a grandparent. I got 7 kids that go to school, and I don't want to see an innocent kid get hurt or killed. So I was just wondering if there's something we can do about this as far as painting a line down the road, because there's signs already, school footpaths. And down by Gordon and Timothy, they got a sign down there. It's got weeds are 7 foot tall. You can't even see the sign. I mean, so I'm concerned about the kids' safety.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to bring
appreciate
up.
you bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have our next regular board meeting scheduled at 6 p.m. on September 18th here. We do need to discuss a delegate and alternate for the OSBA annual business meeting on November 11th. Is anybody beating down the door to do that? I didn't think you were going to be able to be there that day, right, Doug? Okay, I can do it, but we would need an alternate.
I'll do the alternate.
Okay. And then the Schedule Records Commission meeting?
We just need to make sure we do that prior to the September board meeting. And that would be a meeting with Mr. Stevens, myself, and you, Melissa, as a board president.
Okay.
Mr. Stevens, do you have a thought on when we should have that meeting?
After school, anytime that you're available and Mrs. Melissa Walker is available would be fine. It would be better to have it as close to that board meeting as possible. I sent an email out to the administration today. I'm not sure if you received it.
Yep.
Okay, asking them to get it in by September 12th, I believe it was. So I'd say sometime between September 12th and the board meeting would be good.
Okay. Let's see, the meeting is the 18th. Do we want to plan on the 16th? Maybe is 4 p.m. too late?
Not for me.
That's fine.
Guys? Okay, so
Yep.
we'll plan the 16th at 4 p.m.
9/16 and 4 p.m.
Okay, and now we're going to, I need a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss employment and preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
Second.
And when we return, there will be no business, so, yeah, we'll go ahead and take a vote.
Mr. Wigton?
Four.
Miss Amy Walker?
Four.
Mr. Mosher?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.